For my English project, we were supposed to pick an article by an Indian writer, and I picked an article called The Unwritten Rules for Living in India by Rahman. First, I'm going to go over some background info about the author. Um, the article was published on a platform named Wondersunder, which is a personal blog owned by Rahman, who is a 32-year-old lifestyle and health blogger. She was initially born in Bangladesh, but now lives and works in Delhi as a writer with a degree in international relations and European studies from the Central European University in Hungary. And that's why I thought she was a trustworthy source to understand the social norms in India, as she has a local perspective and knows how to communicate to a Western audience. So the intentions and language. Rad says that the intention behind the article is to give the reader an insight into the observations she made living in a major Indian city in the 21st century. But the article is also written poignantly and hilariously, as she describes it herself. She knows about Western culture and explains how India differs in many ways. Her humorous insights come to show in a list of tips of do's and don'ts, like when she's explaining how Indians don't have any personal space and likes to interfere and talk to you at any moment you pass someone on the street. She phrases it like, if you need to pick your nose or adjust yourself while staring at a stranger directly in the eye, that's cool too. She openly makes fun of the way Indians stare at others and use irony to make the article funny and more readable. So the main points of the article is that it goes over how to behave on the street as a foreigner, and Rad knows that the Indian norms aren't considered normal behavior in the Western world. An example of this is when she talks about the use of sidewalks, and she encourages the reader to avoid them, as they are multifunctional, as they serve as toilets for people and animals for that sake, and yeah, even homeless shelters. But mostly Raj shows how to behave like the typical Indian guy, to not stand out in a crowd, how it's okay to yell at people while being in the cinema and talking loudly, and not following traffic rules, and how it's okay even to bathe in public swimming pools with your clothes on. She also compares the Western man to always being on time, while the Indian man is more relaxed and will attend an appointment a few minutes later or half an hour later because then they seem more relevant. She's generalizing the Indian and Western population, but that's her humoristic style and is not supposed to be taken entirely seriously. So now to the dark part of India. While explaining this, she always bears in mind that most of the norms is uncommon to the Western world, and she uses a lot of self-irony and criticism to her own culture, saying that that's how it is in India and no one's complaining about it. Even though the article seems very humoristic, she reflects on some real social issues going on behind the scenes on the streets. Like, also, though caste discrimination is banned, it still plays a significant role in Indian society. She said that it's an unspoken rule of law that the ones from the higher caste have a higher social status compared to the people from the lower caste. It mainly goes to show in marginal situation where it's not okay to marry someone from a lower caste, and she put heavy emphasis on this as a woman. At last, she gives out a warning that she discourages anyone from driving on their own while staying in India, as accidentally hitting someone would result in a mob of people swarming your car and beating you up, many resulting in deaths. Saying that the police wouldn't show up to help. The article is very insightful, and because of Rad's bilingual and highly educated background, she can reflect on her own culture and give insights that for people outside of India never would have known of, and even warns people of the dangers there. So overall, she gives a good picture and in a humoristic way of what the street culture in India looks like and the social norms that's going on behind the scenes.